Have you noticed how those who try to control you, manipulate you, or claim you as their possession seem to face consequences they never expected? At first, the signs are subtle, almost imperceptible. A career setback, a loss of influence, or even an unexplained accident befalls them. These aren't mere coincidences. These are divine warnings, a signal to release their grip on you before they face something far worse. You carry something sacred, something powerful. Those who dare to tighten their hold on you don't realize what they're stepping into. The first losses they face are whispers from a higher power, telling them to let go. But most don't listen. Their pride blinds them to the truth. They cling tighter, their desperation driving them to hold on to what they were never meant to possess. Yet the harder they try to control you, the more they unravel. This is no accident. It is a spiritual law, an unbreakable truth. No one can cage what God has anointed. To try is to invite ruin. The very act of grasping at you binds them to consequences they can't foresee. The harder they cling, the deeper. They tether themselves to forces beyond their comprehension, forces that will tear them apart, piece by piece. And it's not just about physical or emotional losses. This is about a spiritual reckoning. You are a living declaration that divine purpose cannot be contained. You don't need to fight or retaliate. Your presence alone is enough. God fights for you. Those who try to trap you are not wrestling with you. They're wrestling with the divine, and they will always lose. There is a warning etched into spiritual law, one so powerful that it echoes across time. Do not touch my anointed ones. Do my prophets no harm. When someone attempts to control or harm you, they are not just defying you. They are defying the divine. You are not merely living for yourself. You are walking in alignment with a purpose far greater than any human ambition. To interfere with you is to trespass against something sacred, something untouchable. People often believe they can manipulate or hinder you without consequence. They think their will can overpower yours, but when they act against you, they are striking at the hand of God Himself. What happens next is not vengeance. It's the natural result of a spiritual law that cannot be broken. For every step they take to hold you back, they take 2 steps closer to their own collapse. Their efforts to control you become the chains that bind them. The truth is this: you belong to God, and no one can lay claim to what is His. Those who attempt to trap you, silence you, or derail your journey often find themselves losing everything they tried to use against you. It's like trying to steal fire from the heavens. They lose their own strength in the process, burned by the very power they sought to control. God's protection over you isn't something abstract. It's real, tangible, and unyielding. What they tried to take from you, they will lose themselves. Their influence, their authority, even their ability to manipulate outcomes, gone. Not because you retaliated, but because the divine hand that shields you made it so. Throughout history, those who attempt to stand in the way of chosen ones have met with unexplainable setbacks. Their opposition seems strong at first, calculated, deliberate, and even intimidating. But no matter how meticulously they plan, their efforts inevitably crumble under the weight of a force they cannot see or understand. Why? Because when someone chooses to fight against you, they are not merely contending with your will, they are opposing divine purpose. And that is a battle they can never win. Consider the stories of opposition against divinely chosen individuals. From ancient scriptures to modern history, the pattern remains the same. Pharaoh thought he could enslave Moses and the people of Israel forever, but his empire was brought to its knees by plagues and divine intervention. In the New Testament, those who sought to silence Christ only succeeded in amplifying his message to the ends of the earth. These examples reveal a simple truth. The harder they resist, the more spectacular their downfall becomes. Their desperation accelerates their own demise. You may have seen this pattern in your own life. Someone who is threatened by your light tries to pull you down. Maybe it's a co-worker undermining you, a friend disguised as a rival, or a family member who clings to you out of fear of losing. Their influence. At first, they seem determined, even relentless. But then, piece by piece, their efforts begin to unravel. They lose opportunities, relationships, or even the energy to continue their fight. It's like watching a drowning person flail, desperately pulling at others, only to sink further into the depths themselves. This isn't just poetic justice, it's the manifestation of spiritual truth. When people operate from fear, jealousy, or pride, they create their own undoing. Clinging to you out of desperation is like trying to trap a blazing star. They end, upburned, blinded, or left in darkness. What they fail to understand is that your purpose is not yours alone. You are carrying out something far greater, something ordained. Their interference is like trying to halt the turning of the tides, futile and self-destructive. The irony of opposition is that it often strengthens you instead of stopping you. Their resistance sharpens your character, tests your faith, and prepares you for even greater challenges ahead. Meanwhile, their own efforts backfire spectacularly, leaving them weaker than when they began. You are untouchable because the divine laws of cause and effect work in your favor. Opposition is inevitable, but victory is assured for those who are aligned with purpose. At first glance, you may not seem like a threat to those who oppose you. You might lack the worldly symbols of power, status, wealth, or influence. But what they fail to see is the strength that lies beneath the surface, an unshakable force that only reveals itself when the moment calls for it. This is the paradox of power for chosen ones. You may appear vulnerable, but the power you carry is beyond what human hands can control or comprehend. Those who try to dominate you often miscalculate. They see what they perceive as weakness. Your humility, your calm, your refusal to engage in their games, and mistake it for an opening to manipulate or suppress you. Yet what they don't realize is that true strength lies not in noise or bravado, but in the quiet certainty of someone who is divinely protected. You don't need to shout or retaliate because the forces working on your behalf are far louder than anything you could say. It's in the critical moments, the ones where everything seems to hang in the balance, that your power becomes undeniable. When someone tries to take what is rightfully yours, when they try to sabotage your path, their plans inexplicably collapse. What they tried to steal from you slips through their fingers, and often they lose even more than they attempted to take. As the saying goes, what they tried to take from you, they lose themselves. This isn't vengeance. It's the result of spiritual laws that no one can outrun. The distinction between worldly power and divine authority is clear. Worldly power depends on external validation, titles, recognition, material gain. But divine authority flows from within, rooted in a purpose that cannot be shaken. Those who seek worldly power often fear losing it, while you, as a chosen one, walk with a confidence that cannot be diminished by human hands. Your strength lies in the knowledge that you are, upheld by something far greater than yourself. This truth unnerves those who oppose you. They don't understand how someone they perceive as powerless can remain unbothered, even as they try to pull you down. It's because you are not fighting alone. The battles they think they're waging against you are, in reality, battles they are waging against the divine forces protecting you. And in every case, they will lose. Your power is not in fighting back, but in standing firm, knowing that the victory has already been decided in your favor. The Obsidian Inner Order was forged for those who refuse to live in the shadows of mediocrity. This isn't your standard mastermind. It's a crucible for those who dominate their reality and demand excellence. Every week, over 450 members dive into raw, unfiltered sessions that deliver the exact blueprint for crushing your goals and claiming what's yours. Every strategic session is recorded and stored in our vault, ready for you to access whenever you need to fuel your next conquest. This isn't about motivation, it's about domination. Our private Discord rises above basic networking. It's a fortress where apex performers trade the kind of knowledge that separates the rulers from the ruled. Here, real power players connect and share strategies that stay behind closed doors. You'll get immediate access to modern manifestation mechanics, an arsenal of proven strategies that turn vision into reality. Plus, you'll get exclusive interviews with high-level operators and video content so potent it makes the status quo tremble. This isn't just a membership, it's your ascension to power. Stop watching from the sidelines. Your seat at the table of titans awaits. The link is in the description below. The irony is that the more they cling to you, the weaker they become. They don't realize that their desperation to keep you close is the very thing that depletes them. It's like holding onto a blazing torch. They are burned not because you sought to harm them, but because they refuse to release something they were never equipped to handle. They pour their resources, their energy, and their time into fighting a battle they cannot win, and in the process, they diminish themselves. Meanwhile, you thrive. The protection over your life ensures that their actions cannot derail your purpose. While they grow weaker, you grow stronger, fortified by the very opposition they hoped would break you. Their efforts become fuel for your growth, their negativity transformed into resilience. You rise, not in spite of their interference, but because their attempts to block you only sharpen your resolve and deepen your alignment with your divine calling. This energy exchange is more than just poetic justice. It is a spiritual law in motion. By refusing to let go of you, they tether themselves to something they cannot sustain, and the weight of their own actions drags them down. You don't have to retaliate or fight back. Their own efforts to control you will be their undoing, and as they fall, you rise, moving closer to the purpose you were always meant to fulfill. Interference with a chosen one is not a small act. It's a direct challenge. To divine will, those who persist in trying to entrap you often experience symbolic or literal loss of reach. Their ability to control situations or people dwindles. Doors that were once open to them are suddenly closed. Their plans are thwarted by forces they cannot see, and their confidence crumbles under the weight of their failure. It's as though their hands, once strong enough to shape their world, can no longer grasp anything at all. This isn't about you seeking retribution. It's about spiritual boundaries that cannot be crossed without consequences. When someone tries to hold you back, they are defying the divine purpose written over your life. And just as they lose their grip on you, they begin to lose their grip on everything else. Their desperation only accelerates their downfall, as their interference binds them tighter to the consequences of their own actions. For you, this is a reminder of the protection that surrounds you. You don't need to engage in their games or fight their battles. Simply by standing firm in your purpose, you let the spiritual laws at work handle what you cannot see. And as they face the price of their interference, you continue to rise, untouched, unmoved, and unshaken. Their losses are the result of trying to hold on to something that was never theirs to begin with, something sacred, something divine. There's something about you that certain people notice immediately, even if they can't put it into words. Spiritually attuned individuals sense it as a quiet but unmistakable light, while those ruled by ego feel it as an unspoken threat. These reactions, admiration from some, resentment from others, are signs of your divine distinction. You carry an energy that reveals the spiritual state of everyone you encounter, whether they realize it or not. The spiritually aware will often gravitate toward you. They feel peace in your presence, a reassurance that comes from your alignment with divine purpose. To them, you are a source of inspiration and strength, a reminder of what is possible when one walks in truth. These individuals see you not as a competitor or threat, but as a kindred spirit, someone whose light complements their own. Their recognition of you feels natural, almost immediate, because their spirits are attuned to what yours represents. On the other hand, those operating from a place of pride, fear, or insecurity will react in starkly different ways. Without understanding why, they may feel uneasy around you. Your presence stirs something deep within them, something they'd rather avoid. To them, you represent everything they lack: authenticity, purpose, and divine favor. Their ego misinterprets your light as a challenge, and their fear morphs into resentment. They try to outshine you, outmaneuver you, or outright block you, not realizing that your journey has nothing to do with them. This instinctive response is a reflection of their own spiritual state, not yours. They lash out because your presence forces them to confront truths they aren't ready to face. Perhaps they've built their lives on a foundation of control, manipulation, or comparison, and your authenticity threatens to expose the cracks in their facade. Without realizing it, they become obsessed with you, either to emulate you or to destroy you. But no matter what they do, they cannot dim your light. Understanding these dynamics is key to navigating the reactions of others. The way people respond to you is rarely about you. It's about the energy you carry and what it reveals about them. Some will recognize you and walk beside you, drawn by your shared purpose. Others will oppose you, driven by fear of what your light uncovers in their own lives. Either way, their reactions are proof of who you are, someone chosen, someone set apart. Being chosen doesn't come without its trials. In fact, the very mark of being chosen is often revealed through cycles of testing that refine your character and solidify your purpose. These challenges are not arbitrary. They are divine processes, designed to prepare you for what lies ahead. Every test you face is a confirmation of your calling, and every obstacle is an opportunity to grow into the fullness of who you are meant to be. You may have noticed that your life follows certain patterns of difficulty. Just when you think you've overcome one challenge, another appears, often more demanding than the last. It's as though life itself is asking you, are you ready for what's next? These trials can be exhausting, even disheartening, but they serve a vital purpose. They strip away what no longer serves you, fear, doubt, pride, and leave you with the resilience and clarity you need to fulfill your mission. Some of these tests come from external sources, people who challenge your worth, circumstances that seem insurmountable, or unexpected losses that shake your foundation. Others come from within, as you grapple with your own insecurities, ambitions, and limitations. These internal trials are often the hardest because they force you to confront the parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. But each time you emerge stronger, more focused, and more aligned with your divine calling. What sets you apart is not the absence of struggle, but the way you navigate it. While others may crumble under the weight of their tests, you find a way to rise. You learn, you adapt, and you move forward with a strength that can only come from divine guidance. These cycles of testing are not punishments. They are preparations. They ensure that when the time comes for you to step fully into your purpose, you will be ready, unshaken by the storms around you. And with each test, the protection over your life becomes more evident. Even when it feels like the odds are stacked against you, there is always a way forward, a solution that appears when you need it most. These moments are reminders that you are not walking this path alone. The divine hand that chose you is the same hand that steadies you in every trial, ensuring that no test will ever destroy you. You are not being refined for nothing. You are being prepared for greatness. As someone Set apart, your journey carries a unique weight. Being chosen doesn't mean your path will be easy, but it does mean you're equipped for the challenges ahead. You have a responsibility, not only to yourself, but to the greater purpose you've been called to fulfill. Moving forward with strength requires faith, resilience, and an unwavering focus on what lies ahead, not on the obstacles behind you. One of the greatest challenges you'll face is resisting the urge to look back. It's natural to feel anger or frustration at those who tried to block you, but dwelling on their actions only slows your progress. Your responsibility is to rise above their attempts to walk boldly in your purpose without allowing bitterness to take root. The more you focus on your mission, the less power their interference has over you. Your strength lies in your ability to keep moving forward, undistracted and unshaken. You are a beacon for others, whether you realize it or not. There are people watching you, some who draw inspiration from your journey, and others who hope to see you fail. But your responsibility isn't to prove anything to them. Your role is to walk in alignment with your calling, knowing that your success is not measured by human standards, but by how faithfully you fulfill the purpose you've been given. Let your life be an example of perseverance, faith, and the power of divine protection. Another part of your responsibility is to protect your own energy. Not everyone is meant to accompany you on this journey, and not every battle is yours to fight. Discernment is key. Some people will try to drain you, distract you, or convince you to give up on your calling. But you must stand firm, learn to say no, set boundaries. Remember, your energy is sacred, and not everyone deserves access to it. Finally, your greatest responsibility is to trust the process. Even when the path ahead feels uncertain, trust that you are being guided by forces far greater than yourself. You don't need to have all the answers. You only need to take the next step with courage and faith. The protection over your life ensures that no matter what challenges arise, you will emerge stronger and more aligned with your purpose. Walk forward boldly, knowing that your journey is divinely guided and that nothing can stand in the way of what has been ordained for you. When they tried to hold you down, they were only holding themselves back. This is the immutable truth for those who attempt to control or hinder you. Their obsession with keeping you restrained becomes their own downfall. No human interference can override divine purpose, and no amount of clinging can stop what has been set in motion by a higher power. The harder they try to keep you, the more they lose themselves. Your journey is not just about you. It's about fulfilling a purpose that is bigger than anything you can imagine. The trials you've faced, the opposition you've endured, and the lessons you've learned have all been preparing you for this. You are not alone, and you are never unprotected. Every loss you've suffered, every setback you've overcome, has been a stepping stone leading you closer to your destiny. So walk boldly, leave behind those who tried to keep you in their grasp, and embrace the path ahead. You are chosen, and you are protected. Those who refuse to let go of you will only destroy themselves in the process. Your responsibility now is to move forward with faith, knowing that no obstacle, no opposition, and no human interference can alter what has already been written for you.